Hi, today I'm going to be showing you the reporting end of CXA using some generic retail data. So CXA uses search-based technology to allow us to use natural language free text searches against vast amount of data with sub-second response times. These searches can be run against a particular search engine. So for example, our search engine here is generic demo. And so we can do a search against the whole search engine, so all the indexes within the search engine. And this one houses 6 indexes, but search engines can house a number of indexes, and these can be from both structured and unstructured data. So EPOS is coming from a structured data source, Good Foods from an unstructured. And it also acts as our first level of security, as we can restrict which users see which search engines. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a free text search for wine. Okay, so once I've done my search, so type in wine, you'll see that I get matches in 3 of the 6 indexes. As you can see, EPOS is coming from a structured data source, Good Foods from unstructured, and DH transactions structured as well. So if I go in view on EPOS, you can see that anywhere where wine is found, so white wine, red wine, and then mulled wine, you can see all these records are getting picked up in any columns and any rows. Now if I swap to my Good Food Recipes unstructured data source, you can see we've got a PDF that's found the word wine within the PDF, but not necessarily in the file header or anything like that. And as you can see, when we go in, you can see one of the ingredients is white wine vinegar. Okay, so if I navigate back to my home screen, and I'm going to clear that search and go back into my EPOS index. Okay, so say for example I wanted to search for all transactions in Scotland that were made with cash sales but were not on a weekend. I can click on my region name column header. I can do show counts and pick Scotland. And then I can go into click cash within the method of payment column, and then I can click not, go on the transaction day column header and pick Saturday and Sunday. Okay, if I wanted to filter this for even further, so if I wanted to say I only want to see products with a line price of over £5 and that used a loyalty card, I can open up my filter panel. And in your filter panel you can set a bunch of preset filters. So for example, in the line price I'm going to put 5 and use loyalty card, yes. So now we've restricted that down to 41 records. Okay, and I can look at this in a different layout. So if I go into HTML, you can see this custom HTML layout showing a bit more information about the transactions in possibly a clearer way. Also, I can then go in and view it as a word cloud. So the word cloud here is on the product. So we can see the most popular products for the particular search we've done. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to show you is creating a dashboard, or well, pages report. So with our pages we can do dashboard and infographic style reporting. The first one I'm going to do, I'm going to load one that's in development, and we're going to actually finish that one off, and then I'm going to load a few and show you some examples that we can do. Okay, so I'm just going to pick this weekly sales dashboard development to start with. Okay, so as you can see, there's 2 elements already in there: transactions by method of payment and by region, and then there's space for what we're going to do is another 2. So in the top left, I'm going to drag a chart on, and I'm going to create a column chart here that is just of the days of the week. So in the rows, I'm going to pick transaction day. In my totals, I'm going to rename that from account just to be transactions, and I'm just going to change the value format of that. And then in my charting, I'm just going to pick it to be column 2D. Okay, and then there's a few other options that I can choose just to just based on the aesthetics of it. Okay, so once I've created this one, I'm going to save that now. And I'm going to then resize it. Okay, so we've seen creating a new one. I'm going to now drag a chart into the bottom right, and I'm going to load an existing one that I've already done. So I'm going to load top 5 product departments. And then resize that as well. So as you can see, we can do things like top 5, top 10 reports. So if I run that now, you should be able to see all 4 elements now, all completely run. So you can see the number of records that are in each day by method of payment, region, product department, etc. Now I can take this one step further, and I'm going to load my weekly sales dashboard, the final version, and I can actually put some of these on tiles and carousel them. So you'll see the top left and bottom right are now switching round. So you're getting in the bottom one, we're getting different top 5s, and in the top we're getting different views of the revenue. So the cumulative transactions versus profit, cumulative revenue and cost charts, etc. Okay, and as these rotate round, they can refresh the data as well if the data's coming in new. So the next report I'm going to load is this retail KPI report. So as you can see in the overview, we've got a variety of top 5s, and I can drill through on this newspaper and magazines. So like anywhere else in the product, with charts and tables, you can actually drill through. As you can see on the overview screen as well, it also shows regional transactions versus profit, method of payment pie chart, as well as these top 5s. Okay, so if I go into my profits tab now, you'll see that we've got our annual profit figures, and these are broke down by year. So you can see the revenue versus the cost at the bottom, the profit per month on the right hand side, per year, and then also the annual on the left. Then in my regional, we've got transactions by area and also transactions by region. And then when we go into the online tab, this is using a different data source. So this is EPOS Online. So what you can see is this is seeing where people are using the online service. So and what method of payments they're using. So mainly credit and debit cards, and the repeat online customers. So 14,000 have used it in 3 consecutive months. Okay, and the final tab is suppliers. So this is showing the distance between the actual store and the suppliers of um, certain goods. So what we can actually do at the bottom as well is if we get a new supplier, we can actually add this in. So we can do a new supplier form, say where the supplier is, the ID and the location, and then also what type of supplier it is. And then when we want to see a particular supplier, we can actually restrict the searches down and see which ones are closest. Okay, so with reports, we can then also schedule them out. So if I schedule out this KPI report, there's a number of different options we can pick. So I can choose what the schedule is going to be called, how I want to export it. I can set the timing, so multiple days of the week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then I can set this to go out as an email via PDF. And then in the load screen, I should then be able to see the schedule set up here. Okay, so the next report I'm going to show you is this retail infographic. So what you can see here is that we've actually got a little home screen, and it's got 4 tabs that we can click on. So if I click on payment methods first, it then takes us to a payment methods tab that's got different information on the payment methods, cash, credit card, etc. We've got a box and whiskers showing the distributions of the amount of money spent on them and the transactions. Then I can go into the monthly breakdown tab. You can see we've got transactions versus revenue, November versus December on each revenue, cost, transactions, and also again a day a week at the bottom, radial. Within our regional breakdown, again, similar sort of information: revenue, costs, and profit for the particular regions, the number of transactions for the regions, and also then the split down of them via the area. And finally, we can go to loyalty cards, so the number of transactions that have been done using loyalty cards and the profit from each one of them. Okay, and if I go back to the home, that's the retail infographic there. Okay, so I've just got two more I want to show you. So if I go into load on the EPOS layer dashboard here, okay, so this particular report is showing just a dashboard of overall, and then we can click on one of our regions in the bottom left here, and you can see it then changes it. So we've got a monthly profit versus the other regions, so it highlights the region we're in, and I can change that and it'll highlight the other regions, and then you can see it gets the transactions by method of payment and showing that as a percentage of the overall as well. And then the last one is this EPOS infographic report that I want to show you, which is a very standard sort of infographic style report. So 32%, and then we've got the little picture chart of the 32% of people. Okay, so that's the pages style reports that we can do, and there's obviously a lot more that we can do with it. There are just a few examples. So the next thing I'm going to show you is Venns. So you may or may not have seen Venn since school. So what Venns allow us to do is show logical relationships between different sets of data. So if I go and click here, I can do a basic one to start with. So I can pick web for the application, debit card in the method of payment. And then finally in the region, we'll pick London. Okay, so if I create them as multiple sets, I can then change the colours just to make them look a bit brighter. And then I can intersect these. So when I go into when I'm in the run mode, I can just drag a set over another one, and you can see it intersects them and says how many records are split between the 2 or 3 or however many you intersect together. So you can see, if we go into the sets tab and go through these, I can see how many relate to each particular intersection and set. If I drill through on this 624, you can see the searches method of payment, debit card, and region London, but not application web. So we've got a lot of applications that we can use this for, but what I'm going to show you now is to see particular distinct clients. So if I pick 3 consecutive months, so October, November, and December. So any one particular purchase is happening in one of these months. So when I intersect these, the intersections are going to be 0. But what we might want to be looking at is not when an individual transaction was, but which customers are using the service on a monthly basis. So I can actually I can change my measures to distinct customers. And then what we'll see is that actually the intersection has changed now. So there's 14,000 customers that purchase in all 3 months, and there's 2,380 that purchase in just November and December, but not October. So if I go into show Boolean, I can actually do replace then and look at a particular client. So if I choose this one here, I can click on it and see all the transactions for them. So as you can see, there's transactions in September, November, and December for this client, but not October, because we chose November, December, but not October. Okay, so it just gives us a way of identifying which people we might want to be looking at, of whether we can get them on a loyalty card or whether they can give them certain discounts to get them to come even more. Okay, so the final thing I want to show you is models. So within models, we've got Bayesian networks and decision trees. So what I'm going to show you is Bayesian networks. So Bayesian networks allow us to see relationships between historical data and then try and predict future outcomes from this. So in this example, I'm looking at whether a brand is national or private, and that's the outcome I'm interested in. So I can choose other values. So if I'm picking the first one, the income to be over 250,000, we can see that that affects the brand to it's 10%, nearly 10% more likely to be a national brand, and they're more likely to then be a homeowner. If I then pick homeowner, it changes this from 9.5 to 11.5%. So the brand's increasing to be more national with them particular choices. Then if I go into visualizations and column charts, I can see the original probabilities versus the new probabilities. So with these particular selections chosen, how likely some of these things are changing. So you can see that some things are now more likely and some are obviously less likely. And finally, if I go into the summary, I can see for each field some of the biggest changes that we've got. Okay, so hopefully you've got a good idea now of what we can do with our reports, and we can actually do a lot more too. So this is just a nice introduction. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.